In CPR training in middle school, I think it was, they taught us that before you start administering CPR, you call 911 yourself, or you point to one person and you say, "You, call 911." The bigger the crowd, the more important it is that you don't just say, "Somebody, call 911." This is to account for the bystander effect. This is also called bystander apathy, and it is a social psychological phenomenon in which individuals are unlikely to help a victim when other people are also present. This effect came to light in 1964. Despite her very audible screaming and her being in clear view of neighbors, apparently no one called the police when 28-year-old Kitty Genovese was being stabbed to death. Now, actually the validity of the report is somewhat disputed, but the bystander effect was demonstrated by John Darley and Bibb Latané in 1968 through a number of experiments. Basically, people's chances of taking action decline drastically when they assume that others are handling it. The point of this is to highlight the importance of not being a bystander when it comes to net neutrality. Net neutrality is not a murder case, but if you know what net neutrality is, and you do not want it to be repealed on December 14th, good. Pick up the phone and start dialing Congress. Or protest, or take some action bigger than a copy-paste email message. Check the description for where to call or what to do. If you want to know more about net neutrality, let me explain. You want the internet, so you pay money to have the ability to access the entire internet. You pay a monthly fee so you can do whatever or go wherever on the internet. This is what net neutrality allows for. Net neutrality makes the internet like a utility, like water. You pay for water to come into your house, period. You don't have to pay extra to use that water to cook. You don't have to pay for a premium package to have proper water pressure in your shower. And you don't have to pay extra money so that your toilet will flush properly. In a period of 2 months in 2014, the U.S. Federal Communications Commission, FCC, received 3.7 million comments in favor of net neutrality. On the 26th of February 2015, the FCC ruled in favor of net neutrality by reclassifying internet access as a telecommunications service and thus applying Title II, Common Carrier, of the Communications Act of 1934, as well as Section 706 of the Telecommunications Act of 1996 to internet service providers. The story is a bit complicated, but simply put, we currently have net neutrality thanks to events like this. But net neutrality is in danger, again, thanks to plans to repeal the 2015 ruling. Without net neutrality, internet service providers, AT&T, Verizon, Comcast, etc., will have the ability to charge you per app or website. That is, they can block or slow down certain websites or apps if you don't pay extra for them. What you can expect is that they will slow down various websites that are not conducive to their company's profits. The internet will assuredly slowly start to look like this. You get the same internet, but you have to purchase it piece by piece via packages. That is, if net neutrality is repealed, something 3 men of the FCC, Ajit Pai, Brendan Carr, and Mike O'Reilly, are trying to make happen on December 14th. The head of the FCC, Ajit Pai, by the way, is a former lawyer for Verizon. Also, because they intend to block states from passing their own net neutrality laws, if we lose net neutrality come December 14th, there's a good chance that it is gone for good. So, what else can we expect if we lose net neutrality? Well, let's look at what happened in the past. In 2005, Madison River Communications blocked VoIP services. Essentially, internet telephone services like Viber were blocked because it competed with Madison's telephone service. Also in 2005, Comcast denied access to P2P services like BitTorrent. AT&T blocked Skype and other VoIPs in 2007. AT&T, Sprint, and Verizon blocked access to Google Wallet because it competed with their payment apps. Then in 2012, AT&T tried to block access to FaceTime unless customers paid more money.
Sure. Let's just say Comcast created a new TV series, and it just so happened that that competed with a Netflix series. If these rules go away, how is there not an incredible incentive for Comcast to slow Netflix down and make their video, the Comcast video, very robust?
So under that hypothetical, one of the things that's important to remember is that it is a hypothetical, that we don't see evidence of that happening.
But not only is this hypothetical very probable, it's actually what happened. As John Oliver pointed out, while Comcast was negotiating with Netflix, Netflix download speeds were severely throttled for several months.
See if you can guess when Netflix agreed to Comcast demands. I'll give you a hint. It's right there.
In fact, in 2013, Verizon stated that the only thing stopping them from favoring some content providers over other providers were the net neutrality rules in place. So, what is the reasoning for wanting to repeal net neutrality?
I think one of the concerns that we have raised is that these regulations might be dampening infrastructure investment.
But here's what Verizon told its investors in 2014 about what net neutrality would mean for them.
This does not influence the way we invest. I mean, we're going to continue to invest in our networks and our platforms, both in wireless and wireline Fios and where we need to.
Oh, okay. So that doesn't really sound like net neutrality was jeopardizing investment at all.
So again, basically anything not conducive to the ISP's profits would be a good idea for the internet service provider to limit your access to. ISPA has a stake in Hulu. Let's limit access to Netflix unless the consumer pays us more. We have a stake in EA Games, so let's speed up the EA Origin platform and slow down Steam unless the consumer pays us more. Here's what the former FCC chairman has to say about all this.
What we're seeing here is the cableization of the internet. If you like your cable company and the way in which they choose which channels you can see and the way in which they continue increasing their prices, you're going to love what happens under this repeal.
Maybe even scarier is, let's say such and such website has political opinions that the people of the internet service provider do not agree with. Why not just block the website?
In 2007, Verizon blocked text messages from a pro-choice abortion rights group. Verizon said they had the right to prevent consumers' access to any groups the company might deem controversial or unsavory.
The thing with all of this is that you would think, well, this shouldn't matter because an internet service provider that is taking advantage of us would lose in competition to one with better service. But that's the problem. There's virtually no competition. The majority of American consumers currently have only one provider of high-speed internet service to choose from. This is Ajit Pai, the key person trying to repeal the net neutrality laws.
Our goals here, of course, are to preserve the free and open internet that all of us cherish.
This is confusing because his words mean freedom for internet service providers to charge you how they want. What essentially everyone else means by free and open internet is the freedom to access whatever they want with no extra charge. Let me clarify quickly that if you do not want ISPs to have the ability to block or throttle your speed of access to certain websites, then you are in support of net neutrality and are against the repeal of it. More specifically, you support strong net neutrality backed by Title II oversight of ISPs. Everyone's busy, and nowadays it costs even more of your time and effort to simply pay the bills and pay for food. But considering we use the internet for everything, you can expect things to get worse if not enough people take action in supporting strong net neutrality backed by Title II oversight of ISPs. If you like the way your internet is, don't be a bystander. Pick up the phone and start dialing Congress. Check the description for details on where to call, what to do, and more information. On that note, recently people in the gaming community were very angry with EA for the new Star Wars game pay-to-win loot box fiasco because they were trying to charge players extra money for content that should be available from the start. This is very similar to what the ISPs want to do now, except with the entire internet. The result of the EA outrage is that sales of the game are terrible, and the EA stock has actually gone down, thanks to this kind of boycott. EA actually modified the game system in response, at least temporarily, and is now strongly incentivized not to pull something like that again, which is a win for consumers. I can assure you that this would not be the case if people only emailed EA. Nowadays, it's as if companies, or people acting on behalf of companies, don't mind if you hate them, but they really don't like it if you make things hurt for them financially. Huh.